Hi, my name is Walid Kudus, and today I'd like to demo Agent Farm to you. Agent Farm is the UI for the Codev project, a project that's an operating system for how humans and AI should build software together. And so this is the UI here. It's just very simple. On the left-hand side, you have your architect display, which this is like your personal assistant for developing code. And then on the right, you see we have the dashboard, which has any tabs that we have, files that we can open and scroll. And then finally, we have projects down here that we can complete. And the key thing is that Agent Farm can be manipulated by either you or by the AI. So, we can say something, I want to add a new project, which is to add autocomplete to the file search. Put together a spec for it. And so now what it's doing is it's going through. Codev is opinionated. It has a particular idea of what the software development lifecycle should be. But right now it's going through looking at our existing projects, trying to work out, right now you can see this files tab. It's pretty annoying. It doesn't have an auto extend. It doesn't have an auto complete. So the first thing is that it's going to spec it. And that's the phases that we go through. Usually you have conception, conceived, and then we go through specs, planning, implementation, implemented, committed, and then finally integrated. And so it's also already connected this with this. So it's now trying to create the spec. And once it's done, we also have integration with all of the other agents. So typically, once the spec is complete, I'm going to say something like, make sure that Gemini and Codex review the spec for feedback. And like all of the other parts, there's three functions within within the Codev ecosystem. One is Codev, which is just for setting up projects, updating them, all that kind of other stuff. One is Agent Farm, which is for this UI. And the final one is Consult, which is basically a wrapper around Gemini, Codex, and Claude, so that AIs can induce other AIs. And what Codev does is it uses a combination of work trees and Git and GitHub, tmux and ttyd to create this user interface that both the AI and the human can use. So sure enough, right now, it's doing a spec review for spec 58 simultaneously with both Gemini and Codex. And hopefully once they're done, then we'll have a spec that we can look at. Now here it's, once as we make sure, everything is looking good, we can progress the projects through this particular life cycle. So Codex had some suggestions, and we'll see what they are in a moment. But of course, we can also directly go to the file here. It's in Codev specs. And so Codev is self-hosted, so we have all of the specs for our previous components. This one is still being written, so let's have a look at it now. And so I can say something like, AF open the file for me, please. So I can review it. And sure enough, when I do that, it opens the file here on the right-hand side. And you can see that there's a tab here for, that has it. Now, one other important part of how we do things in Codev is annotation is the primary. Annotation and commenting are the primary ways of interacting with the system. And so you can see here, here's a spec. Let's see if it looks good. Yep, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I might say something like, I also want it to be part of the file view, so users can just click on it. Autocomplete. And I have this thing where if I hit return 3 times, it just comments, so it makes it very, very easy to comment. All right, these specs look pretty good. Do we want this? No, no. let's leave fuzzy for later. Don't like fuzzy matching. So what you're seeing now is that I am interacting with the AI about what to do, and actually how the system should be designed. And so it's got a mock-up here of the UI. This looks good to me, so I can say something like, consider the spec approved, but I left some comments. Please address them. And now, yep, I can also say things like, well, once that's done, get started on planning. So what you can see here is that I left comments on a file. I asked the AI to read those comments and to modify the specifications based on that. And you can see that it's now updating the specification as we go. And sure enough, if I reload, my comments are gone, but the impact of what I've had is still there. And so it's still going through and making these particular changes. All right. So now it's now creating the plan, and this plan is kind of the instructions. So if we go here to the dashboard, you can see that the file search autocomplete here is now in the spec stage. It's got a link to that spec so that we can inspect it at any time, but fortunately that's already open. So the plan will take a while. But so now it's kind of done all of the research for this. So other things, if you ever need to kind of look at where things are at, there's a cheat sheet here that goes through and of course I can hit a preview here to see what it looks like. It explains, our core principles, our core philosophy. It explains everything you need in terms of the core concepts, in terms of protocols, roles, and so on. And so that's, we can definitely do that. But also the useful thing is you have a GitHub. We have a Discord over here. So if you want to join us on Discord, we can talk there. Now it's already decided that now it's put the plan together. It's done a 3-way consultation, and so that'll take a minute or two, and it will then just update the spec. So usually the plan. So usually what we find is you need review at the spec and the plan stages, but you don't really need it after that. One AI can basically take it from that. So far we've talked about the architect and the dashboard, but the final piece, we've talked about architects and consultants. So right now what's happening is the agent is going through, it's getting review from Codex and Gemini. Codex has some suggestions that it would like to see fixed. And it's already taking the suggestions from Codex and updating the plan document that we'll have a look at in a moment. So it might even be here already. Let's see. So as I said, there's specs, which are the requirements. There's also plans, which are more concrete, phase-wise ideas about what to do. And yeah. So now it is completed preparing that plan for us. And that plan it's been reviewed, it's updating the state now, and it's actually going to open the browser for us so that we don't have to do anything. This is what I mean by commands like Agent Farm are meant to be used by humans as well as AI. So it's just open that window for us. And as we can see, it's now at the plan stage. Let's just have a review of this plan. Usually these plans are pretty detailed for a feature like this, but we can just have a quick look, see if there's anything odd. Looks pretty good to me. Obviously, if I was a bit more serious about this, I'd review this, but it has a testing plan and so on. And so it's estimating what it takes. And so that looks good. So, yep. So I'm going to say consider the plan approved. Approved. Spawn a builder to build it. And this is what I mean by we have a few different ideas in how we manage work and the architect builder pattern. So the idea here is that rather than us trying to build that component now over here, what we're going to do is we're going to spawn a builder. And so now this builder is going to read the specifications and the plan that we have and update it and build it. So, that's now building this, but we can have multiple builders running at a given time. So this is the list of different projects that we're working on. Obviously, we're now working on the file search autocomplete, but you could do other things at the same time. I can click on these. It'll give me more details about what each of these pages are. And the goal, of course, is to get everything to integrated. And that's what we're looking to do now. Over here on the tab side, you can see that the file search autocomplete is now building. And that green thing is a way for us quickly to check if it's waiting for input from us or if it's ready to go. And so over here, we can come back and we can continue our discussion. We could say, you know what would be a cool feature if we had a what did I do today button in Codev. So it now knows about this builder that's working on this specification. This is specification number 58. And pretty soon that should be finished. But, the whole point is that we can continue to interact with the system here. We can, um, we can, the whole point is that, the architect is for us to focus on coordinating other agents. This agent is happily coding away somewhere. And here we are thinking about other features, right? So I could say, I think we could, this is a feature for what did I do today? I think we could have a clock icon and the user clicks on it and we use AI to summarize what they've done and how much time they've spent, right? So add that to the project list. And get started speccing it. Let me know when it's ready for review. So let's actually see how that agent is going. So yeah, it's still there, coding away, finishing some of the final touches, seeing how we go. So you can see that the architect is busy designing a new feature for us. And at the same time, the builder is actually doing the building of the feature that we've just been discussing so far. It's happily building away. And you can see now it's finished implementing most of the features, but at the same time, it started to write tests and so on, and that's coming along nicely. In the meantime, the spec for the time spent or the day spent feature is almost finished. Gemini has approved it, and the Codex review is still finishing, and the AI is deciding what to do at this particular point about whether to accept the criticisms. We can see that the spec review is complete, and now it's offering it to us, right? And so now we can review it. And so while the feature is going ahead building, so here's one builder, and it's going ahead adding this particular feature. Here's another spec that we're reviewing at the same time. So we can go about reviewing the spec, and it's showing statistics, builder activity, files modified, time tracking. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Somebody should include blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we should, and we might say something like we should use the consult CLI command and have it generate it, so the user can also access it at any time. So, this sounds good. The output format looks good. Copy to clipboard. Yeah, that's a neat feature. I hadn't thought of that one. Position and storage. That all looks good. Okay. Yep. Spec looks good. One small comment, I think. And so it said Codex has suggested some suggestions here. I think let's have a look at what they've suggested. Yeah, I think you also need to incorporate suggestions from Codex and Gemini, or just say C+G. They seem reasonable. Once you've done that, get started on the spec. And so sure enough, when we come back to our dashboard, we can see that there's a new project along the line, which is the daily activity summary project. Our file search autocomplete is now in the building phase, implementation phase. Pretty sure it should be finished soon. Let's check on it to see how it's going. It's still going, still building stuff. Right, so let's just review where we're at. You can see now, given this overview, what we're working on at the moment. We've finished a whole bunch of features. Actually, the tips and tricks page, I think we've finished that one too. So it's that's fine as well. now this is almost finished. But the last step it does is it does a review. And so it's creating a PR, but then it's also getting the other two agents, Gemini and Codex, to review the PR. And then we'll be able to proceed there, right? And again, over here, the plan is getting a three-way review as well. And soon that will be finished. So you can see that we're not using three-way work all the time. It's just at particular critical review sections, we actually do get review from third parties. And that's a key thing that's part of the section. And so what you've seen here is the AI has, the builder has actually finished building, and it sent a message through to the architect saying, you know what, I'm finished building. And so once the architect is finished with the review of the new time spent feature that we'll be adding to Codev, it's going to get to this and just process it and go, oh, well, if that's the case, it knows what to do next. So it's telling us that both Gemini and Codex approved it in their internal review. So when something is finished in Codev, we do have to have reviews. One is kind of like make sure that the code is good. And the other one is really about making sure that it integrates well into our systems, right? And so you'll see that the internal reviews looked great, but that at this stage, the integration review has raised two concerns. All right. So on the other feature that we're working on, which is the let's review here again. You can see here one of the features we're working on is 58, which is the autocomplete, but the other one is the daily activity summary. And so that one, the plan is complete now. And so I can say something like, so what it's doing now is it's spawned two reviewers for Gemini and Codex to make sure that the PR110 is finished and it's going well. And in the meantime, the other feature we're working on, which is the daily activity summary, the plan for that is complete now. So we should review that. I can say, yep, let's review the 59 plan. And so now it's going to open that plan for me while it's still continuing with the review of the other stuff here. So we're seeing, how it's getting all of this additional information, and we're putting it all together. The plan looks pretty good. Obviously, I'm checking to make sure that there are no surprises here. And so now I can say it looks good. Okay, 59 looks good. Spawn a builder for it. And so now you can see that we actually have two builders. In a second, we'll have two builders going. And so you can see that its state as complete. The daily activity summary is just about to flip over. In the meantime, you can see that the two agents are going back and forth. Turns out that the architect approved the PR, and so it just merged it. Now, sometimes this won't happen automatically, but now this PR is merged. And so it's now ready to go. And so the final stage in our dashboard here, if we update it, we can say something like, yep. Okay, so I think we can move autocomplete to implemented to committed, right? Because we merged it. Actually, did they do a review? So it may not have been missed it. So usually what we like to do as well is we have to like reviews over here of like what happened, was the project successful or not? And so this one, for example, we can click into it and check, did it actually approve it? And there's actually a core lessons learned section here. So if we go to our Codev resources, we can see there's a lessons learned section. And what we try to do there is capture the best experience, the best aspects of all the other stuff that we've got through the time. And so it actually did do a review, which is great. And so it did do a proper review, and now we're synced. And so look, everything's looking good, and our state is updated, right? We have the review of that previous check-in, what it did and everything else. And we even have the pull request if we ever need this. So we can track any of our projects and their states. Right, so now the feature is implemented, we're all good to go. But how do I know if this even works, right? So now is the moment of truth. Okay, are we sure? 58 is done. Can I see how it works? Now, of course, we're using Codev to help develop Codev. So this is kind of a pretty interesting way to do things. But the dashboard's running. So now if I theoretically, it's checking the state. It's using the Agent Farm command. If I try to reload this, I can just reload. And here's the search file by name. So I can do, say, I can type in, what's a good thing to type in? Arch.md. So this is our overall architecture file. I click on that and it's done. And so you can see from beginning to end, the feature was implemented. I didn't look at code once. It just kind of popped into existence like that. Let's continue from where we are. So a quick tip is if you can do resume of existing tickets. And I think that's the right one. Okay. So yeah, everything seems to be doing okay. And the dashboard restart seems to be going okay. Let's have a look at our dashboard. Everything looks good. We haven't quite finished the daily activity part, but that's okay. Everything else seems to be perfectly fine. So thank you very much for this demo. And please join us in building Codev as an open source project.